definitely time to start, I think. So this conversation came out of a question about why people are so nervous about seeing themselves on videos. It's bad enough going on stage, and then to see yourself played back on a video of yourself on stage is cringeworthy, and we hate it. There's a lot to be said for it. There are some good reasons for doing it, and there are some really bad reasons for doing it. And this is one of those things that I've been asked about quite a bit, so I thought it would be just a doodle to talk about it. And I have to confess that I am absolutely, absolutely no different. Some of you may know a lady called Laura Pearman. She's a photographer. She does headshots, specializes in headshots for professional speakers like me. And even though I'm comfortable on stage in front of hundreds of people, comfortable-ish on stage in front of hundreds of people, I hate having my photograph taken. I hate seeing myself on camera and all of that kind of stuff, to the point where Laura actually had to treat me like she was taking a photo shoot of a toddler. You know, she took me somewhere, she gave me some exciting toys to play with, and she stood in the background taking photographs, and every now and again she would just call my name, and I went, "What?" And then she took a photograph while I was looking at her, because like normal people, like sane people, I just hate the idea of being photographed and seeing myself on camera. There's a question, therefore, about why you'd want to do it. Mainly, you'd want to do it because it's a learning thing. You can look back at presentations that you've made and figure out how to make them better. There are reasons for doing it, such as your own ego, but that's probably that's probably a bad plan. So let's stick the egos to one side for now, and we'll just talk about the proper reasons for doing it, which is basically to learn from it, I think. So there are two main reasons we hate seeing ourselves, and then we'll talk a little bit about why we hate hearing ourselves. The two main reasons we hate seeing ourselves, one of them is what I'm going to call social anxiety, and that is that we don't like standing up in front of people because it makes us not one of the crowd. And from an evolutionary perspective, not being one of the crowd is not a good idea. If we're part of the tribe, we're much safer. We're less likely to get eaten by saber-toothed tigers or dinosaurs or whatever. But standing at the front makes you a target, and that makes you nervous. So the video thing has a social anxiety attached to it, just like making a presentation does. Okay. But on top of that, there's what I'm going to call predator anxiety. Now, predator anxiety is what happens when you think you are being hunted. It'll come as no surprise to anybody to know that actually when you're going through your daily life, you pay attention to very, very, very little. You just go through life kind of on autopilot. Everybody does it. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'm going to cut to a video here. Here we go. I'll turn those off just a minute. This is a video from a GoPro. Taken by my nephew Adam. Hello, Adam. If you're watching, whoops, watch the tree. Nicely dodged. And he's just walking to the shop. It's as simple as that. There's nothing particularly dangerous about it. It's just walking to the shops. So let's just watch this for a moment, and then you'll see what I mean about predator anxiety. Adam, were you drunk when you took this? Okay, so we're just coming to the corner. You see the pedestrian and the cars going past, and as you go around the corner you'll see a bloke on your left. So we got that. All right, so let's go back to me big screen. There we go. Here's the thing. When you're on stage, because we don't notice the vast majority of what is going on around us, we don't notice things that are going wrong. But when you play that video back, did you notice how much attention you paid to everything? You were looking at the cars, you were looking at the grass, you were looking at the trees that Adam somehow managed to secretly walk through, and all of that kind of jazz. You paid attention to everything. And that's what I call predator anxiety. Let's just pull these back up. And the reason it's predator anxiety is this. Our brains can't process everything in a day that they're supposed to process. Fair enough. So we only process those things that are potentially scary. Cool. But then when you play a video back, because the video plays everything back to you, your subconscious brain goes, do you know what? everything must be scary. Well, there's no wonder you are frightened of seeing videos and anxious at that point, because you're seeing stuff that is potentially scary, and everything becomes potentially scary in a way that real life is not, because the camera pays attention to everything and it gives you this kind of, what I'm calling here, predator anxiety. Well, there's no wonder you are scared. No wonder you are scared. All right. Let's look at why you don't like to hear yourself on video. And that's because mainly you don't hear your own voices in the way that everybody else hears them. Okay, so a goodly proportion, now some estimates say about 80%, say that the sound of your own voice goes up through your jawbone and into your ears and all that kind of jazz. When you try it, just stick your fingers in your ears and you can still hear yourself. That's because the noise is coming up through the jawbone, not around and in through your ears. Everybody else hears your voice in through their ears. You hear your voice up through the jawbone. Well, they hear the voice going through the air and molecules vibrating and all of that kind of jazz, but you're hearing it coming up through your jawbone, which vibrates in a very different way, because the molecules in your bone are locked together in the way that molecules in the air are not. Some very, very simple example is what happens when you go swimming. Go to a public swimming pool, stick your head underwater for a moment, obviously do it sensibly, and just listen to how distorted people's voices sound. Right? Imagine if that is how different they sound between air and water, how much more different are they going to sound between air and locked together bone stuff? So you don't hear your own voice, ever. And then when someone plays it back to you, it sounds like a stranger's voice. Oh, it's kind of a bit weird. Fair enough. Okay, so those are the reasons we don't like seeing ourselves and we don't like hearing ourselves. There are others. I've just concentrated on those for now. The killer question then is kind of what we want to do about it. I've got a little list here, right? Things that we can do about it. The first idea is just don't do it. If you've got a video, a video of your presentation, why would you want to look back at it? You know in your heart of hearts that it was good or it was bad. Okay, and watching the video back doesn't change whether it was a successful performance or not. Doesn't change whether because, to be honest, what it looks like on video is dumb. It's a dumb metric. It's not what you should be measuring things by. The only measure of a successful presentation is, did people change their behaviors or their beliefs or their thinking or something as a result of your presentation? If yes, successful. If not, then no. So how good you look on video is a dumb metric to you. So consider just not doing it. All right? Okay, number one. That's number one. And number two, if you are going to go back and look at your video, don't just watch it through. That's time consuming. Consider asking yourself very specific questions, very specific questions, and watch it through with a view to answering that particular question. So question one might be, do I move too much? Question two might be, do I stand at the right point of the stage? Question three might be, am I dressed appropriately? So go through it looking for the answers to specific questions, and that'll help get rid of this predator anxiety thing, because you're now using it in a much more focused and specific way to answer specific questions. Okay. Third option is to do it with an expert. So rather than just do it yourself and allowing this predator anxiety thing to get the best of you, give your video to an expert. And I've ranted in other places about why you should ignore feedback, because feedback from amateurs is just feedback from amateurs. You should give it to an expert. Okay. My logic being, you wouldn't buy a car because the bloke down the street said it was okay. You would buy a car because the expert car mechanic said it was okay. So why would you listen to feedback from somebody making a presentation who knows nothing about making presentations? So take it to an expert, not Joe Public. Take it to an expert and get them to edit it or talk you through it and go, at this bit you did so and so. Do you see? At that bit you did so and so. Okay, so those are three really big ideas. Now, the fourth one is not as strong, but there's a very clear argument, I think, for not playing back your video straight away. You're still too emotionally raw from the presentation. You're still too high. You're still too vulnerable. You're still too dependent upon what other people think. So a far better idea is just to let it settle. Give it 48, 72 hours, wait for the flak to die down, and then have a look at it so that you can do those other 3 things that I've suggested in a much more sensible and calm way. Okay, so that's it, really. That's social anxiety and predator anxiety. That's why we don't like seeing ourselves on videos. Because you don't hear yourself properly, that's why you don't like hearing yourselves on videos. And those are 3 strong and 1 less strong reasons for not doing it. Okay, so that's where you want to go if you want to know more about stuff that I do. Have fun. I'm done. I will see you soon. Take care, and I hope it's useful. Ta-ra. Bye-bye.